Hello everyone, it's Molly here from Your Future Forward, and I'm so excited to bring you this brand new series called the Apprentice Diaries. It's completely dedicated to apprentices in celebration of National Apprenticeship Week, and it's full of conversations with loads of different guests from top firms and top companies to give you an insight into what it's really like to be an apprentice. Don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you do enjoy them. That would really help us reach more people and help more people that are considering apprenticeship. So it's massively appreciated from our side. But for now, enjoy the episode. In this episode, I am joined by Harry from Deloitte, who is an analyst apprentice. So Harry, thank you for coming on the podcast. If you'd love to tell us a bit about yourself, that would be amazing.
Yeah, thanks, Molly. So my name's Harry. I'm a second year apprentice at Deloitte. I mainly work in user research and user design.
Lovely stuff. So is that kind of the team that you're based in? I'm guessing the course that you're studying, is it a degree apprentice, and is it in, what's that kind of in qualification wise?
Yeah, so the degree itself is a bachelor's degree in digital and technological solutions. So it's got different pathways. So I'm on the technology consultant pathway. So in terms of sitting within teams in Deloitte, it's quite broad. So when you're on an apprenticeship scheme, it's like you might move between teams because they want you to kind of get an experience of all different
Yeah.
fields. But right now, mainly sitting in design.
Okay, that's cool. So how long, you mentioned you was in your second year, how long is the apprenticeship in total, and when will you qualify?
Yeah, so the apprenticeship in terms of the degree part, that's about 3 years. And I think we have an extra year, which is when you kind of have some time to go for your promotions and kind of get
Wow.
any kind of additional learning and stuff out the way as well.
Oh, that's cool. I think that's the first time I've kind of heard of that, like the extra time
Yeah,
afterwards to kind of sort things out a bit, which is
yeah.
cool. I think that's a really cool part of Deloitte, and it shows how they're kind of invested in their apprentices, I guess. So what are the opportunities afterwards then? Because you said promotions, is it likely that you'll stay on at Deloitte?
From what I've had so far, the kind of experience I've had, I'm really happy within the firm. Because Deloitte it's such a broad company, it kind of provides opportunities that aren't just specifically, being a developer. You don't have to kind of sit within certain areas. They're really open to you to go and explore other areas.
Yeah.
So when I joined, I was pretty adamant on being a developer. I look back on that now and I was thinking, what was I thinking? Um, but basically, they've let me be able to explore specifically in areas of design, and that's my focus right now. And I'm really kind of in terms of where I want to go. I think that's where I want to stay really within user
Yeah.
interface, research, etc.
Yeah, that's really cool that you get that flexibility to just kind of figure out what you like, I guess. And I think that's, what the whole apprenticeship scheme is about. And it's an amazing opportunity to do that for young people. The only reason I ask is because from where I come from Google, from the outset, they kind of said there's no guaranteed jobs, like we don't really take anyone on, although that has kind of changed this year. A few apprentices have stayed on in the entry level sales roles. But yeah, is that kind of part of the apprenticeship scheme then? I guess you get taken on. Is it likely that that will happen?
So in terms of staying on, Deloitte basically guarantees your job from when you kind of start at the firm to the end of your apprenticeship. And if you want to carry on, it kind of doesn't have a specific cutoff point. It's not ending in terms of that contract.
Yeah.
The base contract is 4 years, but you are basically guaranteed a job at the end of it because you've basically worked for the firm in loads
Yeah.
of different areas in all that time.
Ah, that's so cool. And I guess that's good to know from your point of view as well. Like that security's there, especially in a
Reassuring,
time like
yeah.
this. Yeah, especially in COVID. Um,
Definitely.
But I guess going right back to just Deloitte in general, because I know what it is and I've been in the working world. But if I think back to when I was like 16, 18 in sixth form, never heard of them. I don't know if that's just because I was stuck up in the Midlands and they're kind of, really big in London. But yeah, what is Deloitte for someone listening that has no idea that what we're going on about?
Even from a person that's worked here for years, it's always such a hard question to answer. But
Yeah,
Deloitte,
because it's
it's
so big,
basically,
I imagine. It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a massive like multinational firm. There's all different lines. So kind of traditionally, Deloitte was seen more with accountancy and kind of doing a lot of financial work for businesses, but it's basically regarded as like a professional services firms. So we don't basically build things generally for ourselves. So like we don't provide software, maybe like Google or things like
Hmm.
that. We would generally support other businesses with that. So we have clients generally that we work for and we help support. So me personally, I sit within consultancy. So consultancy is just one part of Deloitte. Like I said, there's loads of different parts, but basically consulting is the act of like helping a business with certain projects, certain transformations, and helping them kind of, whether that's financial consultancy, any kind of support that they would need or advice from like professionals or people who are like expertise in that. I
Yeah.
specifically sit in the technology consultancy, so I can't really speak more on like all the different areas, but yeah, so
Mhm.
we offer a lot of tech transformations, tech projects and things like that.
Cool, very cool. And I think the tech space is a great space to be in at this point in time and at the start of your career. I think it's a really interesting and growing industry that is kind of, yeah, it guarantees a lot of good things and it's always growing. And yeah, I think it's good consideration for young people. So if you haven't heard of Deloitte, definitely research them and, don't disregard them just because you don't recognize them or anything like that. I think they're a great firm and yeah, do a lot of great things. But for you personally, what drew you there? How did you find out about it? Was it through research? Did you know anyone working there?
So I think my journey into Deloitte, if you would, kind of doesn't even begin with the company itself. It more comes from the big four firms.
Yeah.
So Deloitte is considered part of like the big four, which is like the professional services. And the first time I ever heard of them was probably when I was like 15, because my sister actually works
Wow.
for KPMG, which
Oh,
was a
amazing.
competitor. So
Yeah.
she worked in that space, and she told me a bit about consultancy and kind of um, the work that she was doing. So I actually did some work experience with her at KPMG, kind of
Wow.
got to understand what a professional services company actually does. And then, so that's kind of when I first kind of heard of them, how I first kind of got about that. And so yeah, did some more research into it after kind of all the different ones. When I first in my work experience, I didn't really do technology at the time, but found out that they offered tech, and I was really interested in that. So yeah, was pretty adamant on going into that space there.
Yeah, that's so interesting because from a few of these conversations that I've had with people and just generally what I've picked up from my time at Google, people are so powerful and, like the people that kind of bring a lot of opportunities. And the fact that you had your sister there to kind of explain this whole thing to you when you were 15, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I know as a 15-year-old, oh yeah, I would have had no idea. So I think I really hope episodes like this is what this podcast is for, to kind of
Yeah.
educate people that would have no idea, that don't have anyone around them. And just because, yeah, your sister doesn't work at one of the big fours like you, Harry, I don't think it means that, those options aren't out there, because I think everything's still a possibility. And, I'm sure you did a lot of hard work alongside that with the work experience, research into your application and stuff like that, that got you into a company like Deloitte as well. So yeah, it's an amazing story to kind of hear about. And I think for people listening as well, they might not be your sister, but I'm sure there's someone, talk around, talk to your parents' families and your parents' friends. And yeah, there's always kind of someone that you might know that kind of knows someone. Everyone knows someone. I feel like I'm
Yeah, I
going on a
mean,
bit of a rant there, but I just really wanted to get
no,
that across.
yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think the network that you build from whenever, you may not even see it as your network, but kind of the people that you meet, like they can really provide you like with such valuable advice, like really interesting knowledge of things that like you may not know about. Like even within the firm, like the people that I've met throughout my time, like I use that network just to be like, hey, I don't know much about maybe this part of like design. Could you maybe explain that to me?
Yeah.
And yeah, and that can be seen in like kind of the wider world. So, if you want to learn more about kind of different companies, different opportunities that companies provide, simply using maybe a platform like LinkedIn, connecting with people and kind of talking to
Yeah.
them, like people are really open to like give advice than you would think.
Yeah, way more. Like, I was surprised in the past when I've reached out to people. People are happy to speak to you, and
Yeah.
if they say no, it's more often than not because they don't have time, not because they don't want
Mm,
to. So, kind of shoot your shot and give it a go. And the worst thing that they can say is no. So, completely
yeah.
agree with that advice, and I think it's a really important point to raise.
Mm.
But I guess going back to Deloitte in your apprenticeship, what was the application process like? How long did that take? For apprenticeships, usually it's like the assessment center days, and then yeah, you get pulled in and matched up to different teams and stuff like that. Was that a similar experience for you?
Yeah, so the apprenticeship process, oh, I'm trying to remember now because it's about two
So
years
long
ago.
ago.
But yeah, basically the process started for me, I think it was around October, and I got my offer around February. So it was probably about 4 months, not consistently doing stuff, but kind of over time, you kind of
Hmm.
had to do certain tasks. So it kind of started off with like a general application. So that's when you just provide, information about yourself, kind of the subjects you're studying, any basic information for that.
Yeah. And just
And
on
then
that, were there any requirements? Like, did you need any certain grades, or was it just kind of